Hello, good afternoon. Welcome to the Neoteran Herald Weekly, your weekly astrology guide. We are coming to the 15th episode in this series as we seek to welcome week number 34 in the astrological calendar. And that week starts in just 1 hour, 5 minutes from now. As usual, my name is Jorodawahome Waragongo. I'm your personal astrologer, and today, as usual, we just have a packed episode. We have an astrology guide into the various planetary dimensions. We look at the zodiac order of the planets, and then we're going to delve in, look at the graphical representation of how the major planets are aligning with each other, how the minor planets are, and then we go, of course, to the highlights of the week, the weekly highlights, the showpiece section of this video, and we'll give you pointers to events, astrological events, the main ones happening right throughout the week. So what I would ask you to do as we wait for more people to join our stream is go get yourself a cup of tea or cup of water, and we come and join back in just a couple of minutes as we start delving deep into what is in store for you this week. Thank you. Thank you so much. I hope you've had a breather, and thank you everybody that is joining us. Today we are not coming live with a show way because there is an event which I'm taking part of. So this comes in a pre-recorded version but coordinated in such a way that God will be announcing anytime, even a countdown timer. It will be replicating exactly what measures you're talking about. The signal that you're waiting for the beginning of the new week will come exactly when it is meant to come. So here we are, and we'll go straight away to the section that we concern ourselves with at the beginning of the week. We'll look first of all at the planetary dimensions. These are planetary dimensions. What you can see here is for week 33, and that means what was happening last week. If you look at this week particular ones, here we are. These are the planetary dimensions, the ones that for this particular week number 34, on the 18th of the 8th month. And if you look carefully here, usually there's not much you can tell directly by just observing the planetary dimensions. So what I just give you is just a brief, again, the introduction of what we mean by these planetary dimensions. We'll look at 8 particular dimensions. I've told you that considering the most popular version of astrology in the world, the one you're likely to see in your newspaper, pull out or your weekly email astrological guide, it will give you 2 dimensions, and these are the ones that are popular with all forms of astrologers. We're talking about tropical astrologers, we're talking about Vedic or Oriental Asian kind of astrologers. They usually give you these 2 dimensions. Normally they begin with one. Normally it could be the right ascension, but in most cases it is the what we call the ecliptical longitude. That is the main celestial dimension that they give you. And then when it comes to your specific place and time, they'll give you the hour angle of a particular planetary order for that particular time. See, we look at a much more nuanced picture because we do present 8 columns that represent various dimensions of the planets, and we extrapolate these and then look at various other, derived measures like what house division a particular planet is. We're looking at, like say, even if we give you what we call the basic measure, which is the azimuth, and this is in the terrestrial dimension, we also look at what compass direction that corresponds to, so that if you need to understand where the influence is coming from, particular specific compass direction, then you may look at that. Of course, this represents the windows in time where you can speak. I always tell people, if I make your natal profile, it will similarly be consider these specific measures. Now, one thing I'll have to really speak to is, again, the date here is wrong. We're not talking about the 18th. This is the 25th, because we're talking about Wednesday of this week. Again, there seems to be a bug that is affecting my system, so the date is not exactly correct. And if you look at now what we call, we can look at the zodiac order. And when we talk about the zodiac order, we are talking about the most important place for prognostication of astrological events, and that is the cycle of the zodiac, where we have various constellations. There are 13 constellations there, and in a normal speak of astrological understanding, these 13 constellations are considered to be houses. In our system, we use, when we talk about houses here, better move to the particular zodiacal order graphic, so that when I'm speaking, you know for certain what I'm talking about. This is for week 34, and again, notice, yeah, the date is 24th, not 18th. 25th rather, the 25th, Wednesday 18th is last week. We are talking about these places. When I talk about houses, this is the house that we consider a host. This is normally what would be indicated to you to be the celestial sign, the zodiacal sign, or that is your astrological sign. For us, it's a host, it's a being. This is either a being with usually some animals sort of looking, what they are goats, they are crabs, they are bulls, and these represent various creative aspects that change, not just the planets are the ones that change, but these hosts, because they change after many generations, we need to understand and prognosticate that. So this is the planetary order, and that means that if you look at where the zodiac begins, the first house of the zodiac, the first celestial house, the first Neoteran celestial house, where it begins, and look at that order. The first planetary being you'll meet is the anti-solar point. This is a point in the celestial heavens. That means it's not a luminary, you'll not be able to see it, but if you understand the dimensions and how the planets move, then at that moment you may be able to tell exactly where the anti-solar point. At this point time, it's in house 2. Then you go to house 4, we're looking at the moon. At that point in time, at sunrise on Wednesday, 25th of the 8th month, the moon will be in house 4. The entry of house 4, and then we have Pluto still in Candle, the ascending node of the moon. Again, this is a celestial point, not luminary. It's not something that is bright enough, but you know your niches, then you'll be able to tell. The nodes of the moon, which is the ascending node and the descending node, are usually indicators of the most important 2 cycles of the moon, the synodic and the draconic one. And when these usually coincide with junctions, that is when you get eclipses. So the understanding of that, remember the final section that you'll be looking at this evening or this afternoon, because by the time this podcast comes to you at the division of the day between the afternoon and the evening, before we begin the evening, that is an indicator for the beginning of a new day. See, by the time you're coming, remember, by the time we are about 53 minutes away from the start of the week, but I'm talking about by the time we'll be covering that section on the lunar alignment. It will be already into the new week. But I wanted to say the 2 cycles, the draconic and the synodic, are the 2 most important cycles of the moon. And when they coincide together, such that the moon is crossing a certain junction on the synodic calendar, and the synodic cycle, and another on the draconic calendar, whose markers are the ascending node and the descending node, and they coincide like the full moon and the new moon, because these are the most important indicators for the synodic calendar, and it coincides with the moon AC node transit. Then we either have, depending on whether the moon is new moon or it's a full moon, then we get either a solar eclipse or a lunar eclipse. And that is the indicator for us. So we have another planetary body, that is Vesta. Vesta has just will have closed into house 7 at the beginning of this week. And then we have Neptune and Saturn and Mars. Remember, these are the ones we've been talking about, the planetary conjunction that is happening within house 7, house Habizelda, in the Neoteran way of reckoning. And then we have planet Aries here. It's already crossed over. It's within house 8, but within close enough of an influence to have a significant application to consider house 8, house 8, house Habizelda to be of importance to your prognostication. Then you go to house 8. This is where the sun, Mercury, the Sun, and the planet Sirius are in. And one of the indicators, you can see how close the Sun, Mercury and the Sun are. We're going to cover this particular alignment Remember from definitions before, we talked about these aspects, and you can tell they're close enough, they're within minutes of each other. These are minutes of arc, not minutes of time. This is just how we measure angles. Then you have Ceres, also in house 8. And then we have Uranus, that for majority of the time that we are talking about has been on the division between house 8 and 9. And Venus right now is in the midway of house 9, that is the order in which they are read. And then you have Jupiter in house 10. These two are planets that you can see in the evening. You'll see Jupiter about halfway across the heavens at just after sunset, immediately actually, even before the sun properly sets. Jupiter is a very bright planet. It's within house 10. House 10 is also an area with a lot of starry bodies. Actually, some of the most brilliant stars in the celestial heavens are within that neighborhood. Jupiter is within house 10. That is occupied by the Behemoth. The Behemoth has a number of stars that are very bright, like Aldebaran. And then within its neighborhood, we have this constellation that is maybe one of the most famous one, easiest to identify, Orion the Hunter. And the Hunter is followed by the Dog, Sirius, and Sirius has actually the brightest star in the entire celestial heaven. It's a southern star called Sirius, yes, I said. And then a very good close proximity, there is another star called Canopus, very much southern. If you're too much to the north, that is maybe in North America or Europe, this Canopus is not going to be visible to you. It is way too low below the southern horizon for you to see. But you can see them at the Baran, Arcturus, not Arcturus, but Sirius and Canopus. They form an asteroid, a very bright triangle in the heaven, with Aldebaran being the red star. You can also maybe even consider Betelgeuse, which is part of Orion. Actually, Canopus is too far south, and therefore maybe the best asteroid to consider here is the triangle, the triangle of the three stars combining the zodiacal one. The zodiacal one is Aldebaran because it falls in one of the 13 constellations of the zodiac. Then a little bit further south, you'll find Sirius and Betelgeuse in Orion. Then finally, we have the descending node of the moon. At the very last, they should be already in the entry point of house 12. And at this point in time, normally we know the C node and the DC node, the ascending node and the descending node of the moon move in what would consider retrograde motion. But at this point in time, they are moving in a sort of prograde way for a number of days. This happens with the moon. This is one of the things you need to map properly, because again, these are important indicators for our creative mandate as we move on. And I'm looking at the graphic for week 33. That's what I've just realized. A lot of the things that I'm looking at here are from week 33 and not week 34. But let's move on. We'll look at the star alignment, or rather the planetary maps for this week, and we'll look at week 33s as well to get a good picture of how that transition has happened. So this is the planetary alignment of the major planets. This is how the lineup is like in the celestial heaven. And you can see exactly how close to each other they are, because we are talking about the moon not in house 4, as it was indicating in that dimensional graphic and the zodiacal graphic, which, as I said, was for week 33 rather than being for week number 34. But these are the graphics that capture week number 34. This is certainly how the planets are at this point in time, or rather at the exact midpoint of this week, which I have said time and again is taken to be sunrise on the Wednesday of that particular week, week number 34. So as you can see, the moon is here, is in house 6. Forgive me, because not too many minutes ago I said it would be in house 4, but it's in house 6. And then you have here in Habizalda, the main planets that are there are planet Saturn and planet Mars here. This is Saturn and this is planet Mars. And then here we have an interesting alignment. This is an important one. This is a major junction in the cycle of Mercury, that is the solar conjunction. It is important in two perspectives, in that it is at once an aspect and also celestial transit. Normally we speak about alignments, or we talk about what we call various planetary alignments or markers of creative change. Then we can talk about an aspect. An aspect is usually when two planets have very specific angular measures between them. So we're talking about here the Sun and planet Mercury attaining a conjunction. That means they share the same ecliptic longitude. They have the very same ecliptic measure on the ecliptic cycle, the zodiac cycle. And that gives us an indication that planet Mercury is changing. Actually, it's changing from being an infrasolar planet behind the Sun, meaning it makes its entry, or rather it appears on our terrestrial skies, what you can see at a particular moment in time in the dawn sky. That's what it was doing. But right now you may not be able to see planet Mercury, because of course it is caught up in the glare of the Sun. And at exactly around Wednesday, at the time of dawn, you'll be able to see planet Mercury. It will be exactly in conjunction with the Sun. This may not mean that you'll get a direct, what we call a transit of Mercury, because their latitude, the ecliptic latitude, differs considerably, and therefore they may not be right on top of each other, but they'll share that. And that is from the perspective of an aspect. But if you consider the most creative cycle for planet Mercury, then at the very same time, there will be an indication, a shift from the infrasolar to the ultrasolar. Once this conjunction ends, and the conjunction will remain for about 3 days, we'll talk about it. It's one of our highlights, but I wanted to specify that this is both a phase shift. We'll talk about it and an aspect, a planetary aspect. Planetary aspect, in that case, a conjunction. But it's a phase shift, in that we'll be beginning the third phase in the programmable planetary cycle of planet Mercury, the synodic one, its relationship with how far of the Sun. So again, now the two feminine planets, that is planet Venus and planet Mercury, are returning back to the evening sky. For Venus is about one house apart from where the sun is. That means it's appearing for close to 2 hours in the evening sky, not the dawn sky. That would happen if it was infrasolar, but it's ultrasolar now. Let's look at how the well are fixed so that you can see exactly how that motion has happened. I don't need to highlight. I'll take off the highlighter. That's gone. So this is week 33. As you can see, there's that shift. The moon is the one that makes the biggest jump from how the entryway of house number 4. We find it at the entry division of house number 6. And Mercury, from being a properly infrasolar planet to being a conjunct planet, where basically for astrological purposes it is indistinguishable from the value that we give to the sun. So those are the major planets. Let's look at the minor planets now. And this is the zodiacal order of the minor planets. They are far more spread out across the celestial heaven. One of the things about the minor planets is that you cannot be able to see any of them by looking. They are not visible in the celestial heavens. But before we go into that, let's just take a peek and see how far back, how far away we are from the start of the new week. We are 38 minutes, just over 38 minutes. I would like us to finish this, and I would like to take us for about 30 or so minutes to go through the highlights for about 25 minutes, and then we can prepare ourselves to speak authoritatively, creatively, and with enough guarantee and assurance that our words are effective at the point at which the new week is starting. So these are the planetary alignments. If I take back my highlighter, another sort of highlighter is the laser pointer. This is basically the very same sort of celestial orders we had last week. Minor planets are not only invisible to your naked eye, but they are also they don't change much. They are not as programmable. That is why they have minor application in our day-to-day creative purposes. So within a week, they don't change much. Within a period of about a month, you can notice some change. Within a year, at least, definitely significant change. So they are for more long-term purposes. Let's look at week number 33 here, and you'll note, you'll see a definite shift, especially with the anti-solar point here. If I put it there, that's where the pointer is. You'll see that over next week it will have changed significantly. So this is the anti-solar point, which we're saying is the first zodiacal planet in the order of the zodiac we applied. Then there's the foremost one. This is in house 2. But I've said it's a point, it's a celestial point, it's a stationary celestial point. It is not a luminary, it is not a bright light in the sky. Then here we come to house Cadell, and this significant planetary body that is here has been there for the last almost 3 years. 3 years. That the last time we were talking about the priestly shift, it was at the time when planet Pluto was just moving into house Cadell, and it is still within the entry point. It will remain here, but at this point in time, owing to its tropical alignment with the sun, it is at a standstill. And that means by the time we're going into week 35, almost certainly, Pluto will have gone into retrograde. This because it's the early cycle retrograde or standstill, which precedes the retrograde phase of planet Mercury or planet Pluto. Here we have as well another other important node, the AC node, the ascending node of the moon. This would look like this is the AC DC node of the celestial heaven, given from the perspective of the tropical relationship of the sun. But here we are talking about how the nature of the moon cycle and the sun cycle are. And therefore, this becomes the interchange point where the moon moves from being to the southern hemisphere into the northern hemisphere of the sun. And then we have this is a planetary conjunction. Again, this is between this week. I spoke about it. Remember, I've said this multi-planetary conjunction that is happening within Habizelda has very significant markers. And every week there's a shift. Like now, the shift is that planet Neptune and planet Vesta get into conjunction. We'll talk about it. Then here we have this other very slow, the slowest of our planet, so slow that it's not even zodiacal. That by the time it moved, changed houses, it moved significantly in the perspective of what we call the solar, or rather the ecliptic latitude, that it's either way too south or way too north, and now it's moving towards the northern hemisphere. As you can see, it's very, very close to the equator. This is something that we marked about last year, about the time of Pentecost, because this is where the shift happened. This shift is not simple. This is a global shift in consciousness that is happening. And we are the very, very beginning of it. Children who are being born now are going to be world changers, because they come at a time of significant transition to a new alignment. Very, very specific. And here we have planet Ceres, and we have here at the very end, here we have sometimes because of the blue shade of the red that I'm not able to tell some of the colors here, but we're talking about now Uranus here that crosses for us the alignment order of the actual planetary bodies that are lights, because here we are talking about the DC node, which itself is not a light as such. So that is how the planetary bodies are at this point in time. And I've just realized that throughout that period, when I was talking about the minor planets, you were not seeing the indicator, because what was showing was the countdown. That's the issue I get when I am recording rather than going live, because I'm sure people would have told me. So this is what I was talking about. I'll go back, forgive me, but I'll go back very, very quickly and cover just what I was talking about in very short order. So here you see planet Pluto, bang at the beginning, at the entry division of House Cabell. It's a standstill, and I say this standstill is the one that precedes the retrograde phase. So it's going to take a little bit of a while before we get into that retrograde. And then here we have the non-luminary planet, and that is the anti-solar point, the point in the celestial heavens that is right opposite the sun, where if a rainbow happens and you drill through the very center of that rainbow, it will take you to that point. It's significant enough that God had to make use of the anti-solar point is the centerpiece of the sign as the indicator, the celestial indicator of his covenant with Noah. Noah, the one who was told to look at the rainbow and remember the covenant. When you look at the rainbow, you look at the celestial, at this astrological body. So there, here, these are the planetary bodies. This is the ascending node, the lunar ascending node. And then you have this conjunction that I was talking about just now, planet Vesta and planet Neptune. And again, it has been part of our conversation. I was talking about the various changes, the various creative changes that are happening within Habis Elder. And this is the conjunction that is happening here. We have Vesta, we have Neptune, we have Aries, which is still here in part of the house conjunction, and then we have the two major planets. Remember, here we have Saturn somewhere here in the entry division, but moving considerably towards the midway point, and then you have planet Mars right about here. There is in the exit division of Habis Elder. So that means the congruence that is happening, and that is very, very special for this period in time from a global perspective is happening. Then we have planet Ceres here, and at the very end here we have Uranus about to make its transition into house 9. Again, I'm talking about in terms of the slowest planetary body on the celestial heavens. And it's good, it takes quite over a year for that transition to happen. At the very end here, we are talking of planet, not this planet, but this is the descending node, the lunar descending node is about to make that transition. So here we are, we're about 28 minutes, so we're going to take another break of about 3-4 minutes. We're going to have a toilet break. You can go grab yourself a cup of coffee or tea or Coke, and then we'll be done together. So see you in just about 3 or 4 minutes when I come back to look at the centerpiece of our of this broadcast. That is the highlights. What's significant? What creative doorways are there to open this week? Remember, that is what I've said about this one. Which are the creative doorways? Remember, the keys that you have across time is your natal profile. Your natal profile gives you the set of keys that you can open various doors in the expanse of time. So when you look at this, we are looking at the highlights. There are more specific ones that we cannot be able to go into, but these are the major ones we're going to look at. So, as I said, take your time. We'll be back here in about 4 minutes' time. Hello once again. Thank you for giving us that time. It's taken a little bit longer than I had anticipated, but I come properly refreshed now. Talking here for an hour plus can be a bit draining, and I hope that you too are refreshed as well. As you can see from our countdown time, we're just 14 minutes away. We are 14 minutes away from the day at point at time in which we must speak about the new day with authority to command what things it is that you want to establish with. But what are the gateways that are opening this week? What are the essential indicators? What are the signs in the celestial heaven about the creative opportunities available? I think that background music may be a little bit too loud, and fortunately, we will not be able to follow that right away, but you can make that in the comments so that we can go on improving. Let's look at our calendar. Let's look at the Neoteran calendar. Week number 34. Week number 34 is the very last week in the 8th month. Starts this evening with the start of the day of Sunday, the 22nd of our calendar, ends on the 28th, a day when we will be meeting again for episode number 16 at this very place. So there doesn't seem to be any major highlights, of course, happening over this week in the sense of the lunisolar. But I realize again, I'm just displaying the countdown timer. Thank you. Sorry, at least I've caught that one before it went too long. So this is the calendar I'm talking about, and I'm talking about this week number 34 of the Neoteran calendar, year number 6 in the era Regnum dispensation. This is the 8th Piscean month, and the last week, the time you'll be coming, we'll be talking about looking forward to the conjunction that will give us the indication of the start of the 10th month or the 9th month in our system. That is to be the also it's a significant month, but of course, it is not a space of time to talk about. It's the advances of the week number 34. These days ranging from Sunday all the way to Saturday. Those are the days you're talking about. So, what are the significant events that are happening across this week? And as usual, normally what starts is what is continuing from the previous week, and this is what we've been talking over the last at least 4 episodes. We are talking about the multi-planetary conjunction in Habizelda. Habizelda, as I keep saying, is the Neoteran celestial house number 7. It's going to continue this week. Now, something significant is that 2 planets, Vesta and Neptune. Vesta joined the conjunction last week, but it was not aligned in a way that was perfectly called an exact perfect alignment conjunction, but that is happening this very week. So that is the significant change that is happening. Planet Vesta and Neptune. Remember, we looked at this. I'll not go back to the graphic depicting the order of the planets as we are doing. So we're talking about now which planets are now, because Neptune now leads this de facto conjunction, the house and host conjunction. House Habizel, of course. Host is Pisces. They are planet Mars, planet Saturn, and planet Aries. These are the ones that are in host and house conjunction Habizel. Aries is actually by right within house number 8, but very, very close to be within what we call the cusp or the orb of considering it to be also in Habizel. So that is something that is talked about earlier. Remember again, this because it's multiplanetary, in almost all likelihood, every one of us is able to command this open gateway of entry. Again, what are the specific indicators? What are they important for you? Mainly, they are very, very significant things here because we have 2 major planets, planet Mars and planet Saturn. So they have significance. Again, the only way to completely get specific actionable information is to get your natal profile done. So let's look at the other indicators across this week. As I keep track all the time, we're just 10 minutes away. We also have the prograde solar conjunction of planet Mercury taking place this week, and I'm sure that is what's displaying on your screen as well. Remember, when I'm presenting, I have a different screen. I have to make sure that I have the right screen when I'm talking, and what you're getting is the right screen as well. So the conjunction will attain perfect alignment. It starts on Tuesday. Again, if you want to know the exact moment, on 24th, on Tuesday 24th of each month, please do reach out to me. I can be able to tell you this. And the Thursday, 2 days later, the that is the Sun and planet Mercury will be perfect alignment. So exact alignment. The exact alignment comes, not exactly perfect, but exact alignment. And then it will end on Sunday. So at the beginning of week number 35. So this is certainly something to talk about next week. So the first day of the week number 35, one of the highlights you already know is that it's going to be the end of its conjunction in house number 8. So then we have the Western Neptune perfect conjunction. It is starting on Friday. This week we've not covered squares and sextiles and quintiles. We'll go back to looking at them next week. As I said, this is a much of a stopgap episode because, as I said, that's why we cannot come live to you. Therefore, let us look at the timer. Let's look at the timer that came, or rather, yes, let's just come look at the timer before we look at the lunar alignments. And we are exactly 8 minutes 27 seconds from the start of the new week. The start of the new week. So let's go back to what so that the notes so that we can look at the lunar alignments that are happening. These are very, very significant. I tell people, like people who are totally given into the Gregorian calendar, the Gregorian calendar is very significant in that everybody follows it. Everyone knows it. It is the de facto standard for business, for what? But for your creative purposes, for your major priestly kingly assignments, for especially people who understand that, and legacy issues, if you want to do things that are significant for yourself, your career, for your family, the Gregorian calendar is not all that useful. Why? Because the Gregorian calendar exists with the assumption that the moon does not exist, that the moon has no significance at all when it comes to telling time, that only the sun matters. That is a perversion from my perspective. God made one to rule over the day, the other one to rule over the night. So you can't have one ruling over the day and the night and say, I am right. It is certainly wrong. Because God is the very same way He said there is going to be a female and a male. There's going to be up, there's going to be down. God didn't just make the heavens and say the earth is not significant. And actually, what you hear also is that there were two, the celestial heavens, there were two. Remember, God created two waters. He said there are the waters above and the waters below. So always God creates a system that is complementary. And therefore, the moon and the sun are complementary. But actually, in reality, actually, the moon, if you study it and see, because of its programmability, its change, its various alignments, I already give a whole what. The moon is a far more significant in creative type. If you want to exercise your divine creative mandate, ignoring the moon puts to you at a very significant disadvantage. So that's why we're looking at 5. Normally, we've been looking at 5 major events that are happening with the moon. Are these everything the moon is doing? No. This is just the most significant one. And I don't want to be past over time. We have exactly 5 minutes. So I'll do this very quickly. So on Sunday, this day that is starting, we have a synodic junction. The moon is attaining its 4th quarter. This is something instantaneous. It is the start of the last quarter, and or rather, it's the start of the waning crescent. And it's happening, of course, in the synodic cycle. Monday, 2 days from now, a lunar node transit happens This is in the draconic cycle. Again, it's an instantaneous kind of event. And I hope I'm pointing at the right thing. Yes. Then we have on Wednesday, something happens. This can tell you, this is when the moon goes into that house of Zelda where there is a lot of planetary activities happening. But before it does that, it's going to cross a very important creative gateway transit point, the AC, Celestial Creative Gateway Transit Point, and it's going to happen on Wednesday. It's an instantaneous, of course, taking place within the tropical cycle. Then the very same day, we are going to have 3 planetary conjunctions within short order. Vesta and Neptune, which are exactly in conjunction at that time, the moon will be aligning with them. So if you want to see, both of them are not very visible, but if you can look at where on the night of Wednesday, that is what you people in the Gregorian calendar call Tuesday, heading to Wednesday, that is what we're talking about. You see where the moon is? That is where Vesta and Neptune are. Saturn is visible enough, and you can see it with your naked eye. So it's varied in the sense that it is taking place across periods of time. You're talking about something happening instantly, but across various hours of Wednesday, we'll see these conjunctions happening in short order within each other. Then finally, on Thursday, again, something else happening again on the tropical cycle, and that is the instantaneous planetary conjunction of the moon and planet Mars. These are the essential indicators for the week. And you have just 3 minutes. I'll just give you a break of 1 minute. And during that break, what we will do, I want you to think about everything you want to accomplish in the coming week. I want you to have it foremost in your mind. So that when you're speaking creatively, you're speaking to those good gateways. At this point, the gateway that gives us entry to week 34. We will have command over it, that there will be no impediments, there should be no blocked pathways, there shall be no bad karma, if you think about it in that sense, and you'll be able to enjoy tremendous success in the week that is coming. I'm giving you about 30 seconds to do that because we don't have time at all. Okay? In the music. Thank you so much. I hope that by now you have a clear idea of the things you want to accomplish. It can be anything. It can be about your life. It can be about your loved one. It can be about the nation. It can be about the whole world. It can be about the universe. It can be anything that you want to have success, that will give you a satisfaction to your desires and your wants and your needs. So that's what we're talking about starting out. At this point in time, as week number 34 of the Neoteran calendar comes in, I'll speak for everyone that hears me now and usher them with creative strength, success, and every form of exhilarating mission. In this, let for thus be found every sort of victory, every sort of exceedingly goodness and favor, provision, and our influence to exceed even our wildest dreams. This week imbued with just profitability. It is imbued with honor. It is imbued with ascendancy and rising that accords us the greatest honor amongst nations, amongst peoples, and amongst all that we care, cherish for. This week is blessed. In the annals of time, it will be remembered as a point at which where our fortunes changed, our honor was made, and our place in the legacy of the whole world was assured and guaranteed. Now, I want to do something here that I should have said a little bit earlier. Are you listening to me? Want to finish this convocation with just a begin with a very important word. When I say it is so, I want you to respond and think about the most hyperbolic word. It can be good, magnificent, exceedingly good. Say that it is remarkable. It is good in our sight. You can say it's good in our sight. It's remarkable. It is amazing in our sight. So when I say it is so, then you finish with that. That is how we do it. That's so. It is so, and it is good. It's magnificent in our sight. If you spoke those words, if you put in your consciousness the things that you're accomplishing, you would like to accomplish in the next 7 days, I can guarantee you'll have testimony of great success at the end of the week. And I would like us people to be giving their testimonies and their accounts of success when it comes the next week. I'll post it in our Neoteran Global Astrological Global Community. If you don't have it, look at the description of this video. There is a link that will take you directly to our WhatsApp community. You can also check out our various astrological profiles, natural astrological profiles, order one of your own. They come in various prices. You find one that suits your pocket and needs and check it. And of course, as usual, you can begin with one of the affordable ones, and then you can upgrade it to have one that gives you the most actionable information. Much of the astrology that we do, this what you see we are doing publicly, is like 10% of the work we do. Otherwise, other parts are done with individuals, groups, formations that have already come and have been profiled. So thank you so much. Have an amazing, fulfilling, creatively successful week number 34 in the Neoteran calendar. If you want your copy of the Neoteran calendar, just reach out to us. Either you can put a comment and we'll send you a copy of the Neoteran calendar. Thank you. You are blessed. I love you all. You are the most amazing people. Let's start week 34 with a good stride. God bless you.